Okay, so did you see that footage from the weigh-in today?
Oh, you mean the shove heard around the world?
Yeah, exactly. The
Yeah.
shove, the shout, the whole scene. Because honestly, I haven't seen tension like that in a very, very long time.
It was intense.
It really was. It wasn't just a little, for the cameras push either. Claressa Shields practically launched Franchon Crews-Dezurn across.
Almost the entire stage, right?
Right. It was a full-on fracas. Security had to swarm in. People were shouting. It actually felt dangerous.
It definitely sets a very specific tone for the whole weekend.
Yeah.
It's like a stark reminder that what we are watching tomorrow night at Little Caesars Arena in Detroit, it isn't just a sporting event.
No, definitely not.
It's the boiling point of a decade-long grudge.
It feels heavy.
Mm.
So, welcome to the deep dive. We're recording this on Saturday, February 21st, 2026. And tomorrow night, Sunday, is the main event.
The big one.
The rematch between Claressa Shields and Franchon Crews-Dezurn for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world.
And while the clinches are obviously going to be flying tomorrow, our mission here is to look a little deeper for you guys.
Right.
Got a stack of fight previews, some really interesting business analysis from Emerson Raymond, and transcripts from the press conferences that just paint this fascinating picture.
And what we found pulling from all those sources is that this isn't just about two women fighting in a ring.
Not at all.
It's about a massive structural shift in American sports culture. We're talking about record-breaking money, independent business moves, and really a complete redefinition of what it means to be the great American heavyweight.
It really is an incredible case study. But before we get to the business side of boxing, we kind of have to understand the personal history here.
Yeah, we do.
Because you just can't fake the kind of tension we saw on that stage, too.
No, you can't. And to understand it, we have to go back, like way back, not just to their first fight, but even before that. So let's start with November 2016.
Right. Which was a pivotal moment for women's boxing, though maybe people didn't quite realize it at the time. Both Shields and Crews-Dezurn made their professional debuts against each other.
Let's just pause on that for a second, because I think non-boxing fans might miss how insane that actually is.
Oh, it's unheard of.
Right. Usually when a gold medalist turns pro, they fight again, right?
Exactly.
Just someone with a losing record to build up their highlight reel.
Yeah, it's called protecting the asset.
Yeah.
You feed them easy wins to build a record and build confidence. But these two...
He just fought each other immediately.
Immediately. Two elite amateurs making their pro debut in this 4-round sprint.
And Shields won that fight by unanimous decision. It was only 4 rounds back then. But here is where it gets really interesting to me. In the press conference this week, Shields revealed something that gives you this totally wild glimpse into her mindset. Something that frankly borders on obsession.
The tape studying.
Yes. She admitted that she was watching film on Crews-Dezurn when she was just 13 years old.
Which is wild.
13. Most kids that age are worried about algebra or, like, who to sit with at lunch. And she was breaking down fight tape.
It really speaks to her intensity. Shields said Crews-Dezurn was ranked #1 in the world at the time in the amateurs. They actually met when Shields was 16 at the Junior Olympics, but Shields had already been analyzing her for 3 years by then.
Wow.
She said, and I quote, "When you want to be that girl, you have to take out the girl."
That is just unmatched intensity. Imagine being 13 and plotting how to dismantle the #1 fighter in the world. I mean, it explains so much about why Shields is where she is today.
And where she is today, nearly 10 years later, is completely historic. She's 30 years old now. She's sitting at 17-0 with 3 knockouts.
Undefeated.
Completely. But the key metric here is that she is the first boxer, male or female, to be undisputed champion in 3 different weight classes.
Which is a feat only Terrence Crawford has followed. Right?
Correct. Only Crawford. And for you listening who might hear undisputed and think it just means, really good, it's actually a technical term.
Right. It's about the belts.
Exactly. It means holding the championship belts from all 4 major sanctioning bodies. WBA, WBC, IBF, and WBO. Getting those 4 organizations to agree on one fight is a political nightmare.
I can imagine.
Doing it in 3 separate weight classes is almost impossible.
Well, she calls herself the GWOAT, the greatest woman of all time. And looking at that hardware, it is really hard to argue. But we should say Crews-Dezurn has had an incredible trajectory, too.
Absolutely she has. She's 10-2 right now. She is the current unified WBA and WBC super middleweight world champion.
Yeah.
And she used to be the undisputed ruler of that division herself.
She calls herself the heavy-hitting diva.
Which is a great nickname.
I love that nickname so much. But listening to her speak this week, she seems to be in a very different headspace than Shields.
It's a classic contrast.
Hello.
Shields has the supreme confidence of the conqueror, right? While Crews-Dezurn has the fuel of the underdog who feels deeply disrespected. She talked about dealing with politics, steroid cheats, and hate mail. She views this fight not just as a match, but as a mission. She even said she's fighting for her mom.
So she feels she hasn't gotten her due.
Exactly. She feels she has a chip on her shoulder. And in combat sports, that can be a superpower, or it can be a massive distraction.
Very true. But let's pivot to what makes this specific fight, the one happening tomorrow, so significant for the broader sports world.
Yes, let's get into the business side.
Because we have this analysis from Emerson Raymont that really caught my eye. He talks about how the phrase Claressa Shields fight has actually become a signal for a massive market shift.
And this is the part that I think people completely outside of boxing might miss. When we think of the phrase, the great American heavyweight, what names pop into your head?
Oh, you know the legends. Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, Joe Louis.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Big, dominant American men. For a century, the American heavyweight was a cultural icon, a symbol of masculine dominance. But Raymont points out a paradox in 2026. The men's heavyweight lineage in the U.S. has entirely lost its cultural heft. The belts have been held by Europeans for years. Ukrainians like Usyk, Brits like Fury.
Right.
But right now, Claressa Shields is the only American heavyweight male or female holding a world title.
Because she has the WBA, WBC, IBF, and WBO belts.
Yes. The mantle of the great American heavyweight has completely flipped gender lines.
Wait, so literally the only American heavyweight world champion right now is a woman?
Yes. The singularity of that dominance, the violence, the charisma, it's all residing in Claressa Shields right now.
That is a wild realization. We are so used to thinking of that title as belonging to the men's division. But if the men don't have the belts, and she has literally all of them, she is the heavyweight champion, period.
And the market is responding to that reality. It's not just a nice feel-good story. It's big business.
Yeah.
In November, Shields signed an $8 million contract with Win Records and Salida Promotions.
$8 million. That is huge.
It's described as the most lucrative deal in women's boxing history. It maps out the next 2 years of her career. And what's fascinating is how she did it.
This brings us to the independence thing, right? Because I've noticed a lot of female fighters signing with Jake Paul lately.
Right. Jake Paul's Most Valuable Promotions, or MVP, it's become this one-stop shop for women's boxing.
Right?
They're consolidating talent. They handle the marketing, the viral moments, the production. It's a very safe, lucrative path. But Shields, she stayed independent.
She actually commented on that directly. She said she doesn't think there's anything wrong with what other women have done by signing with MVP.
Right.
But she prefers knowing that when she accomplishes things, it's because she did it.
She is betting on her own brand. In an era of total consolidation, she's standing alone as a headliner. That $8 million deal proves that she has the leverage to do it. She's not just an athlete, she's a partner in the business of her own career.
It's a total power move. Pure boss energy. But, okay, all the business leverage in the world doesn't really matter if you get knocked out. Let's talk about what's actually going to happen in the ring tomorrow night.
Right. Styles make fights.
Yeah.
And the first thing to remember here is the weight class. This fight is at heavyweight.
Can we clarify what heavyweight means in the context of women's boxing? Because in the men's division, that's usually 200 plus pounds.
Good question. In women's professional boxing, heavyweight is generally anything over 175 pounds. And Shields has been fighting here for a bit now. She is deeply settled in this class. In her 3 heavyweight fights, she's produced 4 knockdowns and 1 KO. The analysis describes her as being in a quote-unquote power surge.
That's really interesting because earlier in her career, the criticism, if there even was one, was that she was a brilliant technical boxer but maybe lacked that one-punch knockout power.
Precisely. But at heavyweight, she's in cutting weight, she's fully hydrated, she's strong, and she is hurting people. Now, contrast that with Crews-Dezurn.
Right.
She is the champion at super middleweight, that's 168 pounds. She is moving up in weight for this fight.
That's a significant jump. Does that 10 or 15 pounds really make a difference?
At this elite level, absolutely. It affects punch resistance. A shot you can walk through at 168 might literally put you down at heavyweight. Crews-Dezurn is giving up natural size and very likely power.
So how do their styles clash? Because I know Shields is known for that technical brilliance we talked about.
Well, the analysis describes Shields as a stalker. She works off the front foot.
What does that mean, practically speaking, for someone watching tomorrow?
It means she's the aggressor. She occupies the center of the ring and forces you backward. She cuts off the ring masterfully.
So not just chasing them.
Exactly, meaning instead of following you in a circle, she steps laterally to trap you against the ropes or in the corner. And once she has you trapped, the source says she detonates.
Detonates. That is a scary word in a boxing preview.
It really is. She throws these big looping right hands or just laser beam straights. It's a complete package of boxer-puncher skills.
And Crews-Dezurn.
Crews-Dezurn, on the other hand, is described as persistent and scrappy. She has a very fan-pleasing style. She throws a lot of volume.
So she tries to just overwhelm you.
Exactly. She wants to make it ugly. She wants to be inside, throwing punches and bunches, not giving Shields the room to set up those big shots.
Right.
But to do that, she has to get past Shields' jab and deal with that massive size advantage.
So who has the edge here? I'm guessing that the experts are leaning one way based on all that.
It's pretty unanimous, actually. DAZN gives Shields a 3-0 edge in their analysis categories, those being power, mental warfare, and boxing skills.
All three?
Yeah, they basically say that until someone proves they can put a dent in the GWOAT armor, you have to favor Shields.
Mental warfare is an interesting category to win, especially when Crews-Dezurn is so highly motivated.
It goes back to what we discussed earlier. Shields has that GWOAT aura. She truly believes she is the greatest, and she has the resume to back it up.
2 Olympic gold medals, undisputed in 3 divisions.
Exactly. When you fight Shields, you aren't just fighting a person, you're fighting a legend. That psychological weight is incredibly heavy.
That is a very tall mountain to climb, but hey, it's a fight. Anything can happen.
That's why we watch.
And it's happening in a very specific place. Let's talk about the atmosphere, because we are in Detroit.
Yes, a true homecoming for Shields. She's from Flint, which is just up the road. This is absolutely her turf. And it sounds like the city is more than ready. They've sold 15,000 tickets at Little Caesars Arena.
Which is a massive number for a boxing match in the U.S. that isn't in Vegas. Shields actually had a great line about that. She told the fans, all good seats are gone, but for those of you who decided to wait, get your nosebleed seats.
I just love that confidence. And it's not just about selling tickets. There's a real community aspect here, too. We saw a report about Jihoni herself.
The CEO of SMT Financial, right?
Yeah, the ticket giveaway. She bought 100 tickets to give away to families from Detroit and Flint so they can attend.
That's amazing.
It highlights that Shields isn't just an athlete there. She's a community hero. She really represents resilience for that entire region.
And it seems like she's using that platform to lift up other women, too. The undercard looks totally stacked with female talent.
That is by design. Dmitry Saluda, the promoter, noted that 6 of the 11 fights on the card feature women. He mentioned that when Shields first turned pro, she insisted on all-women cards.
10 years ago.
10 years later, she's still pushing for that same visibility.
That's consistency. So who else should you be looking out for on the card if you're tuning in?
Well, in the co-feature, we have Che Keneally taking on Danielle Perkins for the WBA light heavyweight title.
Okay.
Perkins is really interesting because she's a former world champion and a standout basketball player. Shields actually mentioned her in the press conference, saying she was happy to see Perkins get another shot on the big stage.
And there's some men's heavyweight action too, right?
Yes, Price Taylor is fighting. There's also Atif Obleton versus Joseph George at light heavyweight. But let's be honest, and this goes back to our earlier point about the American heavyweight.
The men are the sideshow here.
Exactly. The night belongs entirely to the women.
It's a complete reversal of the norm. So just for the logistics, ring walks are scheduled for roughly 11 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night, Sunday, and it's streaming on DAZN.
Correct.
Okay, let's zoom out for a second to wrap this up. We've got a grudge match 10 years in the making. We've got a massive homecoming in Detroit. We've got this fascinating business case study with the $8 million independent contract.
Right.
When you put it all together, what does this actually mean?
You know, we often talk about progress in women's sports by measuring firsts.
First to headline an arena?
The first to make $1 million, the first to be on network TV.
Right, checking the boxes. Breaking the glass ceiling.
Exactly. But when I look at Claressa Shields standing there as the only American heavyweight champion, holding all the belts, commanding an $8 million independent deal, I really wonder if we've moved past the era of firsts.
How so?
We might be entering an era of total domination where the gender qualifiers are just becoming irrelevant to the business bottom line. REMATCH's analysis heavily hints at this.
Yeah.
She isn't just the best female heavyweight. She is the heavyweight champion that America has right now.
Period.
The market has decided that she is the marquee attraction. Not because of a quota, but because she generates the most interest and the most money.
That is a really powerful thought to leave you with. Have we moved past firsts to an era where gender just doesn't matter to the bottom line? It's not about women's boxing anymore. It's just big-time boxing.
That's the shift. And tomorrow night, we get to see if she can defend that position against a woman who has literally been waiting a decade to take it from her.
I cannot wait. If you are listening, make sure you tune in tomorrow night. History is unfolding in Detroit, and trust me, you do not want to miss the fireworks, especially if that weigh-in was any indication.
It's going to be absolutely electric.
Thanks for diving in with us.